The most powerful movement in American politics just cracked down the middle. President Trump stands at the podium calling the Epstein files a Democrat hoax, but his own base isn't buying it. 60% of MAGA voters are demanding more investments. Elon Musk says if the government confirmed 1,000 victims, they must have the names. Speaker Johnson now breaking with the White House. Mike Pence demanding full transparency. Even Fox News won't touch the story. Major newspapers preparing explosive reports about Trump and Epstein. The establishment could not destroy MAGA from the outside, but now the movement tearing itself apart from within. And what you're about to see will determine the future of the America First agenda. So keep on watching. Now, you probably think your 401k is safe, but it wasn't designed to make you wealthy. It was built to shift retirement costs and risk onto you, leaving your savings exposed to crashes, inflation, and chaos. But Americans are waking up and taking control with real assets like gold. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands secure their future by converting part of their 401k into a tax-advantaged gold IRA without penalties or headaches. It's safe, it's simple, and smart. Visit nextnewsgold.com to get your free wealth protection kit. Open a qualified account. Receive two 5-ounce Silver America the Beautiful coins absolutely free. Nextnewsgold.com. Call the number on the screen, 877-646-5347. And when you talk to Colin, tell him that Gary Franchi said hello. Would you do that for me? All right. So our cameras were there in the White House press briefing room today. And Karoline Leavitt was bombarded with question after question after question. I mean, I've got all the clips here. We're going to play them for you. But there's so much. Oh, here's this. We found a photo of Epstein's clients right there. Yeah, very funny, isn't it? Mm-hmm. We got Elon Musk. He was on a tear last night. Over 1,000 confirmed young victims is a shockingly large and tragic number. In order for the government to confirm that the girls were victimized, they would have to name or at least describe who did those things to them. This would necessarily mean that the government must have those of them, the Epstein client list, in their possession right now. Elon Musk, he is demanding this whole thread that he put out last night, or he was replying back and forth, he was literally having a conversation with Grok, and it was astounding to watch in real time. I replied to him last night, too. We've got this also from Mick Mulvaney, Donald Trump's former chief of staff, now speaking out about the Epstein list. And so, we've got Democrats demanding its release. It is absolutely crazy what is going on right now. So we've got a lot to unpack. Charlie Kirk coming back with some messages after he said, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Apparently, he felt the roast. He felt the heat. So we're going to get to that in a second. But I want to go back to the press conference that we were at today. Right off the bat, ask if Trump's team is telling MAGA influencers to back off Epstein talk or lose support. Karoline Leavitt says Trump listens to all voices, but reminds everyone he created the movement and leads it on instinct. Trust in Trump. Watch.
Many kinds. Dasha.
Has the White House been directly in touch with some of the MAGA influencers that are still not satisfied with the administration's handling? And has the message to them been similar to what the president has said, which is sort of either let this go or we don't need your support?
Well, look, the president and this team are always in contact with the president's supporters, with voices of many kinds on both sides of the aisle. I think that's part of the reason this president is a great president, because he's willing to listen and hear other people's perspectives. But ultimately, he has led this country, not just over the past 6 months to historic success, but also through his first 4 years as president. And as the leader and the creator of the MAGA movement, he has led through these perilous times for our country, based on instinct and in the best interest of the country. And as I always say, the American people should trust in President Trump. Dasha.
Here's more. Does the president believe justice has been served in the Epstein case? Karoline Leavitt says that Trump ordered a full DOJ review and they delivered. Bondi, the FBI director, deputy director, and AG all signed off. Listen.
On the memo.
Does the president believe that justice has been served in the Epstein case?
Look, the president believes that he directed the Department of Justice to do an exhaustive and thorough review And they did that, and they all agreed, the FBI director, the deputy FBI director, the attorney general, on the memo that they drafted and they released.
Here's more. When asked about Speaker Mike Johnson calling for more Epstein files, Karoline Leavitt would not reveal Trump's response, but doubled down.
The Epstein.
Deanna.
Karoline, thank you so much. Do you know what the president's reaction was to Mike Johnson saying that he wants additional files released, the Epstein files? Was there a conversation with Mike Johnson about that following his comments?
I won't discuss the president's private conversations with the Speaker of the House, but as I answered to Jackie's question earlier, the president has said if the Attorney General and the Department of Justice and the FBI have any more credible evidence in regards to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes, they should put that forward. He has called on them to do that. Deanna.
He has called on them to do that. Here's more. Karoline Leavitt says Trump will not recommend a special prosecutor in the Epstein case. Now, last night, we brought you the story that John Solomon from Just the News, in his interview with Donald Trump, suggested a special counsel. Donald Trump seemed open to it, and now the question was posed to Karoline Leavitt at the press conference today. Listen.
With the attorney. Go ahead.
The president said that he floated the idea of a special prosecutor in the Epstein case. Can you confirm that? And has he asked the Attorney General to do this, to appoint a special prosecutor to look it over?
Well, the idea was floated from someone in the media to the president. The president would not recommend a special prosecutor in the Epstein case. That's how he feels. And as for his discussions with the Attorney General, I'm not sure. Go ahead.
The president said...
Yeah, that's not a good move, in my opinion. I was hoping that President Trump would go and recommend a special prosecutor, and now we're getting official confirmation from the White House that a special prosecutor is not on the table. Pam Bondi, though, could appoint one, and you can see right there, she says, I'm not sure. Pam Bondi under fire as well for her botched rollout of the so-called Epstein list, and, well, she could save face by doing that. And I hope that they come to their senses. And asked why Trump won't release the files, Karoline Leavitt points to the DOJ and the judges. Listen.
For the file. Wants to move on from the story, but you do have some prominent figures, including the Senate Majority Leader, the House Speaker, voicing support for the files to come out. Representative Massey collecting signatures that would force a discharge petition for a vote on the floor for this. It doesn't seem to be going away. What is stopping the administration from just redacting any sensitive information, grand jury information, and putting out what is appropriate so that the American people can decide and then let this story die?
Well, in terms of redactions or grand jury seals, those are questions for the Department of Justice. Those are also questions for the judges who have that information under a seal. And that would have to be requested, and a judge would have to approve it. That's out of the president's control. He has said, in agreement with some of the leaders on Capitol Hill, that if the Attorney General and the Department of Justice come across any other credible evidence, they hide that to the American people. The president has said that, and he agrees with them on that. The Department of Justice did, and I would defer you to them.
Wants to move on.
Moving into our next clip here from the White House press briefing room. Karoline Leavitt torching the media for pretending Democrats care about Epstein.
Epstein hoax. There's been a lot of discussion about the Epstein files and the president's comments yesterday calling it a hoax. Can you clarify part of the Epstein hoax is the hoax part?
The president is referring to the fact that Democrats have now seized on this as if they ever wanted transparency when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, which is an asinine suggestion for any Democrat to make. The Democrats had control of this building, the White House, for 4 years, and they didn't do a dang thing when it came to transparency in regards to Jeffrey Epstein and his heinous crimes. It was this president who directed the Department of Justice and the Attorney General to do an exhaustive review of all files related to Jeffrey Epstein, which they did. The Attorney General and the FBI, led by Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, these are great patriots, some of the most trusted voices in the Republican Party movement. It's part of the reason the president appointed them to these high law enforcement positions, and they spent many months going through all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein, and they concluded what they found in that memo, which they drafted and they released. And so the president has been transparent. He has followed through on his promises to the American people, but he doesn't like to see Democrats and the mainstream media covering this like it's the biggest story that the American people care about. The president has been working so hard this week. On Tuesday, he went to Pennsylvania, where he secured $90 billion in investments for the Commonwealth, for the people of that state. After that, he came back to the Oval Office at 8 p.m. He went in there to whip votes to get the Genius Act signed into law. And because of his efforts, that's now going to be signed and passed. The following day, yesterday, he meets with a foreigner, the King of Bahrain, to secure more investments into this country. And then yesterday afternoon, the president is in the East Room of the White House mourning with parents who have lost their children because of fentanyl, signing a bipartisan piece of legislation. And not a single cable network in this country took that event live and covered that event like they should. Those are the issues the president cares about. What could be more important to the American people? Helping families who have lost their children. Those are the issues this president is going to remain focused on.
Okay, so where do we go from here? There's really a lot to break down, because what she said in that response was that the American people don't care. But do they care? They certainly do. But now we're finding out, breaking news, President Trump posting this to Truth Social because clearly he cares. Based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I have asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to present in all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. This scam perpetrated by the Democrats should end right now. All pertinent grand jury testimony to be released. Eric Darty reporting as well. Pam Bondi announces Epstein grand jury files will be unsealed tomorrow in court. This is happening right now. But what are the people saying in the polls?
Oh, I mean, look, congressional Democrats have been trying to seize on this. You hear them also parroting what you're hearing online, saying, release the files, this is terrible, blah, blah, blah. I mean, is that working for them?
No, I mean, look, here's what's so important. You know, we talk about the potential of Republicans leaving Donald Trump. They're not leaving him. But what about congressional Democrats and problems with their own base? Democrats' net approval of congressional Democrats, according to Quinnipiac University, in June of 2025, it was their second worst ever at minus 12 points. Is that not low enough? How about we go even lower? In July of 2025, minus 13 points, their worst net approval rating for congressional Democrats among Democrats ever. Donald Trump is not the one who has problems with this political base. It is congressional Democrats are the ones who have problems with their own political base.
All right.
So here's where I get nervous. Okay. We have a lot of Democrats now coming out demanding the release of the files. I mean, not just Democrats, though. We have Mike Pence, former Vice President Mike Pence. I am not a fan. This is what makes me nervous, is that why are these guys all of a sudden demanding the release? I mean, these people hate Donald Trump. And the rumor mill is in overdrive right now, as if there's some massive bombshell that's about to drop. As if, Trump is setting it up saying this is a hoax, as if whatever's about to come out could implicate him, as if the Epstein files were tainted during the Democrat reign of terror, as if they inserted things or doctored things. He has constantly declared that he's only been with Epstein on several flights to New York, not to the island, and those are documented. Here is former Vice President Mike Pence, 24 hours ago.
Victims. President Trump said the Jeffrey Epstein matter is a hoax. Last week, his Justice Department said there were more than 1,000 victims of Jeffrey Epstein. Last summer, Trump said he was open to declassifying all the relevant files and the Epstein client list, and that his suicide looked suspicious. How can all those things be true and it be a hoax? I understand where things stand with all this.
I think the time has come for the administration to release all of the files regarding Jeffrey Epstein's investigation and prosecution. It's important that we protect the names of the victims. They should be excluded from any disclosure. But whether or not the facts justify charges, I think that that anyone who participated or was associated with this terrible man ought to be held up to public scrutiny.
One of the most aggressive investigative reporters in our country, Julie K. Brown, was on my show last night, and she said when the Justice Department last week said 1,000 victims, she said that was a higher number than she was familiar with and indicated to her that there have to be accomplices. Accomplices that some of the victims have named that worked with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And she said, shouldn't there be some inquiry into whether or not those people should be exposed to criminal prosecution?
Well,
do you agree with that?
I just think we ought to get the facts to the American people. I mean, I've always believed in transparency.
And when the president says it's all a hoax, what is he talking about?
Well, Jeffrey Epstein's prosecution began during the Bush administration. Continued.
He's blaming it on Democrats.
The Obama years.
It's not a hoax.
I know of no reason why this administration, once the victims' names are protected, should not have all the files on Jeffrey Epstein.
President Trump.
Wow, Mike Pence. We've got more here. Fox News blacking out the biggest MAGA story, Trump versus the Epstein files. Trump told his base the Epstein client list is a Democrat hoax, and for once MAGA isn't buying it. Polls show 60% of Trump voters want more investigation. GOP lawmakers are breaking ranks. Influencers are in revolt. On Fox News silence. Between Monday and Thursday, CNN mentioned Epstein 1,274 times, MSNBC 1,156 times, Fox News, including reruns, 136 times. But if you take out the reruns, only 82 times. Hannity, Waters, Fox and Friends, zero coverage. Only a special report with Bret Baier in the last couple of days, but this is between Monday and Thursday now. Only a special report with Bret Baier covered the backlash. The rest of Fox's opinion bench laid Trump's Truth Social meltdown like a marching order. Even Laura scolded MAGA influencers who dared to question him. The hoax claim totally false. The Epstein docs came from FBI files and sworn testimony, much collected during Trump's presidency. It's not bad journalism, it's complicity. The most watched network in America is protecting a politician from his own supporters and pretending the biggest story is in conservative media doesn't exist. That's from Mediaite. Now, continuing with our coverage here, all right? Let's see, what is Chunk Uger saying? He went on News Nation, dropping the only question worth asking after reporter claims only MAGA influencers care about the Epstein conspiracy theory.
About this, I just kind of don't buy any of this narrative. I as a very famous American writer once said, you know, reports of the demise of the MAGA coalition are greatly exaggerated. I don't think MAGA cares about this. I think the MAGA influencers care about this because for years they content and made money off of stoking this conspiracy theory. But I've been polling just, you know, normie MAGA voters, supporters of the president for a week now. Nobody cares about this. It's just so not a political live wire
Nonsense.
at all.
Yeah, no, that's all definitely wrong. Trump's polling will crater, and you'll see he in the next set of polls, he lost a lot of Republican support. So we'll get to see who's right and who's wrong. So look, guys, you can't call this a conspiracy theory. The conspiracy theory is that hundreds, maybe over 1,000 girls raped themselves. That's a lunatic conspiracy theory. Trump said that the files don't exist. Then he said the files are fake and written by Obama and Biden. So which one is it? Are they fake or do they not exist? So who raped the girls? Who raped the girls? No, right. Oh, the government says under both Democrats and Republicans. Oh, no, we're not going to tell you. There's obviously something that they think they can't tell. Why can't they tell us? Either because leaders in both parties are deeply, deeply implicated, or an intelligence agency, either CIA or Mossad, is deeply implicated, or they did it. They flat out did it. Those are your only two answers.
Well, it's interesting, right?
Also, I mean, my take is that, first of all, the honeypot operation is still ongoing. The blackmail tapes are still there. They're still going to use them to blackmail politicians or world leaders. So the intelligence operation is still ongoing. So the intelligence operation is implicated, as well as those politicians and world leaders. Okay? That's why they don't want this out. Let's continue with, here we have, okay, this is, okay, oh my goodness, there's so much to get to here. Here's Elon Musk says Trump should release the Epstein files and point out which part is the hoax. He should just release the files, point out which part is the hoax. That's Elon Musk. We have Representative Pramila Jayapal. And that's why she didn't bring up the Epstein files when Joe Biden was president. Listen.
Donald Trump, I think.
If you see such a need to investigate this, why didn't you raise it during the Biden administration? I mean, we couldn't find that you made any public comments about Epstein in previous administrations.
Well, I would have been happy to raise it then as well. Frankly, we were focused on so many different pieces, but I have been one of the has been consistent on what I call out Republican presidents for and Democratic presidents for, whether it is FISA, reforms that we need, whatever it has been. I've been pretty consistent. War powers. I've criticized Joe Biden just as I'm criticizing Donald Trump. I think transparency is not something that should happen only when you have a Republican president. It is something that we need for both Democratic and Republican presidents.
So then why didn't you call for more transparency earlier during the Biden administration? I'm just trying to better understand why you are so intent now on calling for this.
Well, I think I gave it the same focus that I'm giving it now. We haven't, I think I've released one tweet on this and you wanted to talk about it, so I'm happy to talk about it here, but it certainly hasn't been the focus. I'm just responding to what I think is a massive switch from the Trump administration around this issue. My focus has been on the big bad betrayal bill, and I will continue to focus. But yes, I think that this information should have been released under the Biden administration. It should be released under the Trump administration.
So why do we continue to cover this? It's because it's news, and we demand answers. Here is, this is it. This is the report that a major newspaper is set to drop an expose on Trump and Epstein's relationship and suggests it may explain the president's recent behavior. I want to point out his
story drops.
Okay, this Sean Spicer, former White House press secretary, in the middle there, and let's listen to what Mark Halperin has to say.
One of the points of this platform in the age of transparency is to narrow the gap between elites like Dan and Sean and the people like the two-way community and myself. So let me share something with you that everyone, say that in air quotes, everyone I know knows hasn't been publicly reported. Everyone I know believes a major newspaper, one of the top 3 newspapers in the country, is about to publish a piece about President Trump's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Okay? Everyone I know knows that. And people in the White House know that too. When that story drops, if it drops today, and some people think it might, it could drive the day. Sean, Dan, have you heard about this story?
Well, I know because it's been circulating on the left, and I've had to double check that this is not, in fact, total conspiracy theories. Donald Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein pretty well. And I believe that his early courting of Melania involved Jeffrey Epstein. And that has been reported by mainstream outlets over the last 10 years. Alleged, I guess. I want to be careful.
You've already been, I say with respect, somewhat careless, but keep going.
Yeah, but that, if that is where this report is going, it's just collecting and putting together and synthesizing old news.
No, this story has new news. Okay. Sean, what do you know about this story?
Vague, I probably know about Dan level, right. But I don't.
Let me throw out some questions. Let me throw out some questions, and I'd like you to jump in. Let's do it game show style. Either answer them or say, in fact, we don't know. Ready? How did Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein meet?
I don't know.
Don't know. Did Donald Trump ever go to Jeffrey Epstein's townhouse?
Yes.
How many times? How many times?
I believe many.
You believe many. What occasions? One-on-one parties? What did he go for?
Don't know.
I feel like a Biden staffer right now taking the fifth.
Yeah. How often did Jeffrey Epstein go to Mar-a-Lago? Don't know.
Fairly often, because they banned them at the end.
Well, you don't know how often he went. How often did Donald Trump go to Jeffrey Epstein's Palm Beach residence? Don't know.
I don't know how.
Where else besides the townhouse and the 2 Palm Beach properties did they ever spend time together?
On his airplane. No.
Well,
Did Trump never fly on it?
I don't believe Trump ever flew on Epstein's plane, so far as I know. I believe I believe Epstein may have been on Trump's plane.
Okay.
Although I don't think Trump was there when Epstein was there. Did they have any financial dealings?
I don't know.
Don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. There are many unanswered questions, amazingly never been written about. Now, the thing people point to a lot is Donald Trump's interview with New York Magazine, a profile of Epstein where he spoke very glowingly about Jeffrey Epstein. But we all know President Trump might speak glowingly about someone who's being profiled in New York Magazine. He didn't have that great a relationship because he'd want to be in the piece. In the search for explanations about the president attacking his base in a way he's never done, some people are pointed to his awareness of this story that's supposedly coming soon. That's what I'll tell here, the two-way community, because everyone I know knows the things that I just said, but I've not seen them public, and so I thought it was important to share them. One of the points of this platform.
That's a remarkable piece of insight. A remarkable piece of insight indeed. And now we are learning, according to Karoline Leavitt, who just posted this about 60 minutes ago. It is a post from Donald J. Trump. Now, as you just heard, they were talking about an article that's going to be released. And I think we now have the answer to the speculation and the rumor mill that's been going on. Karoline Leavitt posting this from Donald Trump's Truth Social. The Wall Street Journal and Rupert Murdoch personally were warned directly by President Donald J. Trump that the supposed letter they printed by President Trump to Epstein was a fake. And if they print it, Mr. Murdoch stated that he would take care of it. Obviously did not have the power to do so. The editor of the Wall Street Journal, Emma Tucker, was told directly by Karoline Leavitt and by President Trump that the letter was fake, but Emma Tucker didn't want to hear that. Instead, they're going with a false, malicious, and defamatory story anyway. President Trump will be suing the Wall Street Journal, News Corp, and Mr. Murdoch shortly. The press has to learn to be truthful and not in sources that probably don't even exist. President Trump has already beaten George Stephanopoulos, ABC, 60 Minutes, and others, and looks forward to suing and holding accountable the once great Wall Street Journal. It has truly turned out to be a disgusting and filthy rag, and writing defamatory lies like this shows their desperation to remain relevant. If there were any truth at all on the Epstein hoax as it pertains to President Trump, this information would have been revealed by Comey, Brennan, Crooked, Hillary, and other radical left lunatics years ago. It certainly would not have sat in a file waiting for Trump to have won 3 elections. Yet this is another example of fake news. So now we're learning what this article may be. And let's try to dive deeper into this hoax. Johnny MAGA writes this, says the injection, you may not like it, but Trump is right. The injection of Jeffrey Epstein into American politics was started by Democrats a decade ago as a means to harm him. This is what he means by the hoax. Here is an article that's 8 years old. You can read the headline there. Okay. Here's another one from People magazine. This is from 2019. Trump once called Jeffrey Epstein a terrific guy. What to know about their connection? Well, we do know that President Trump kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago for his behavior. So what does Charlie Kirk have to say? Erica apparently agrees. It's time to put this to rest with full transparency.
And we can get access. Okay, everybody, after a major event this last weekend where we talked about Epstein, let's kind of give you a little bit of an update because we've been covering other stories as well. Breaking day, President Donald Trump said, any credible information, let them have it. So here's a good place to start. There's an Office of Personnel report at the Department of Justice of a report where they interviewed Alexander Acosta, who was the U.S. attorney back in 2007 that prosecuted Jeffrey Epstein on a very, let's just say, suspicious case. He was not treated harshly. The original search warrant was selectively composed to try to protect Epstein. So the whole point of this Office of Personnel report goes to the underlying transcripts, and we can get access to that right now. Well, not we, but the Attorney General of the United States can get access to that. President Donald Trump has greenlit this. He said, any credible information, Pam Bondi, you can release it. And so I know Pam. I think Pam should do this. I think Pam should walk down the hall to the Office of Personnel Report, OPR, and get this report. In it is a ton of information. Second, I think the Department of Justice should move to unseal the grand jury testimony in the Ghislaine Maxwell case. Number 3, I think that Ghislaine Maxwell should be given green light. Go talk. Let people ask questions. Figure out what the heck is going on. Was Jeffrey Epstein an intelligence asset? Now, the Israeli government has come out and said, no, he was not one of ours, under no means necessary. And so, was he Saudi? Was he MI6? Was he CIA? We do not know. And our audience is really fired up about the story. We've been covering it extensively. Yesterday, we were covering a lot of other stories as well, but today we had Mike Pence on. We had a couple of reporters on. This is some breaking news. President Trump today had said, any credible information, let them have it. A good place to start is unsealing the Department of Justice grand jury testimony, the Office of Personnel Report. In there, we're going to find out all the information of the intel aspects of this. So we're very much on this. Keep the pressure on. And I really want to get to the bottom of this because transparency is critical. Transparency is key.
That's quite a 180 from his remarks the other day when he said we're not going to talk about this anymore. So this is what he's referring to with respect to the President Trump calling for the FBI to look into the hoax, the Epstein hoax, which was reportedly altered by the deep state. This is Bo Loudon, his post. The deep state must be held accountable. Anyone attacking Trump is wrong. Trump is the protector of children.
For all the things that have happened, there's the Russia collusion against you, there is Jack Smith against you, there's all the things that happened in 2020, not investigating China interference in the 2020 election. Where do you think, what are the things that are most important that you would like to see the FBI get to the bottom of?
I think they could look at all of it. It's all the same. They could look at this Jeffrey Epstein hoax also. That's the same stuff. That's all put out by Democrats.
Yeah.
And, some of the naive Republicans fall right into line like they always do. They just don't have the sustainability. They don't have they don't have that stick to it like glue. The Democrats, they have bad policy. They have bad candidates. They have bad everything. But they stick together. The Republicans don't do that. But they ought to look at the Jeffrey Epstein hoax, too, because that's another hoax that's frankly put out by the pushing the Republicans and put out by the Democrats.
So he wants to get to the bottom of the hoax. And here we have this from Eric Darty 11 hours ago. Breaking news. The principleless Democrats have just been utterly exposed for suddenly caring about Epstein under Trump. Scarborough, you could have gotten them 21 to 25 when Democrats were in control. Why didn't you call for this then? Oh, well, let's find out what Representative Jamie Raskin has to say.
I mean, you have to state this. Congressman, you could have gotten that from 21 to 25 when Democrats controlled the DOJ. Why? It was a crisis then. It's a crisis now. Why didn't Democrats call for it from 21 to 25?
So, I mean, you'd have to go back and look specifically at particular prosecutorial decisions and what was taking place in terms of the other cases. So I don't know. We could try to reconstruct that record. But the point is that Donald Trump is the one who has led the crusade to say that that Epstein, who was his very close friend, and there's all kinds of pictures of them in the state.
Congressman, you could have gotten that from 21 to 25 when it's controlled.
And yeah, so why all of some of the interest here? We got some more coming up, some more information I'm going to play for you. But check this out. Adam Schiff, 21 hours ago, asking, "What are you hiding, Donald? Time to release the Epstein files." When Adam Schiff starts calling for the release of the Epstein files, you got to get worried.
Becomes president. This morning, Donald Trump attacked his own supporters, calling them weaklings who bought into the bullshit. What is this all about? Well, the bullshit he's referring to is about Jeffrey Epstein, let me try to explain what this internal MAGA fight over Jeffrey Epstein is all about. So before Donald Trump becomes president again, his enablers like Kash Patel, like Dan Bongino, like Pam Bondi are out there pushing this conspiracy theory about Jeffrey Epstein. Now, Epstein was this sleaze who procured young girls to actually serve as prostitutes for his wealthy elite friends. And there are a couple conspiracy theories about him. He was convicted of related sex offenses. He ended up committing suicide, apparent suicide in jail. And there are a couple conspiracy theories about Epstein. One was that he kept this lengthy client list of elites. The other was that his death was actually a murder to prevent that client list from becoming public. Among the purveyors of these theories were none other than our now FBI director, Kash Patel, and our number 2 at the FBI, Dan Bongino. Here's them. Listen to them.
Please do not let that story go.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book.
FBI.
But who? That is I mean, there's.
Oh, that's under direct control of the director of the FBI.
What the hell are the House Republicans doing? They have majority. You can't get the list? Put on your boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
But it wasn't just them. It was also our now Attorney General, Pam Bondi. Here's what Pam Bondi had to say about the Epstein files that she was going to release.
I mean, the fact that Adam frickin' Schiff is running these clips is horrifying.
DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
So the files are sitting right on her desk. Now, she ends up trying to walk that back, trying to say, well, no, I didn't mean those files. I was talking about some other files. But the MAGA base now is furious because Bondi has said that she's not going to release the files, and Trump is supporting Bondi in not releasing the files. So what is that all about? Well, interesting thing is, well, Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and others, Mike Flynn, you remember him, the erstwhile national security advisor in Trump's first term? While they're out there pushing these conspiracy theories about Jeffrey Epstein, there was one person who rather oddly, suspiciously, was not pushing for the release of the Epstein files, and that one person was Donald Trump. So Trump, who is no stranger to conspiratorial...
Well, actually, Donald Trump did, on the campaign trail, talk about releasing them and was in favor of it.
Never someone who shies away from pushing out the most crazy stuff in the world, was oddly mute about Jeffrey Epstein. Here's an interview last year where a reporter asks him, are you going to release these files or these files or these files? It's very telling. Watch.
If you were president, would you declassify, answer yes or no to these. Yeah. Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least...
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others.
So you notice Donald Trump suddenly gets a little fearful, tries to walk back his willingness to release these Epstein files. Now, why would that be the case? Well, take a look at this photograph. That's Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein here and here and here and over and over and over again. They were very close friends. And don't take that from me. Here's what Jeffrey Epstein had to say about his friend, Donald Trump.
So how do you know this?
That's right. Donald Trump had no other friend than Jeffrey Epstein, according to Jeffrey Epstein. Those are his words. That's a recording of him. So Donald Trump doesn't want these files released now. And of course, that's drawing lots of questions from his base and lots of anger from his base. Over the weekend, there was a conservative convention. Here's Megyn Kelly asking the crowd whether they want these files released.
Okay, so I'm going to jump to the end.
Whenever Donald Trump is resorting to the enemies list, one that includes me, by the way, it's a pretty telling sign Donald Trump wants you to look anywhere but where his problems lie. And right now, one of those big problems is Jeffrey Epstein, and it's a problem of his own making. So they're digging the hole deeper here. And this is the bottom line. They promised they would release these files. They push these conspiracy theories. Either the conspiracy theories are true and there's a list and they need to disclose it, or they need to admit they were lying about the whole thing. They need to reveal what they have, all of it, and show that they're just a bunch of liars. But either way, they need to be transparent and come clean with the American people. This morning, Donald Trump...
Oh my goodness, man. I'm getting sick to my stomach. Watching Adam, one of the most evil people in Congress. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see the quote tweet on that. The fact that the AutoPen pardon buddies and full-time criminals Raskin and Schiff are pushing for the release of the Epstein list should tell us all that the deep state hacks corrupted the evidence on the way out the door. Those involved need some early morning raids and arrests. Lockford Files is saying. And then we have this. Kelly reporting. Nikki Haley is demanding the Epstein files. He says that is proof that so much of the stuff is a hoax. Nikki trying to out MAGA Trump is really something. She's a deep state schemer. P.S. Is her hubby back from the National Guard duty yet? Here's Nikki Haley. Release the Epstein files and let the chips fall where they may. This is why people don't trust government. You can never go wrong with being transparent. Redact victims' names, but release the rest. Nikki Haley calling for it. And here is, thanks for sticking around. This is a long report. But here is Mick Mulvaney. Mick Mulvaney, President Trump's former acting chief of staff, speaking with Al Jazeera. Buckle up.
It would have come out. You said the Jeffrey Epstein scandal.
Yeah.
No political impact at all on Trump's election chances. And you were right about that.
Yeah.
It didn't.
Yeah.
But it's certainly impacting his presidency. It's divided the MAGA base. Many conservatives are furious with him and his administration. Trump, of course, is a former close friend of Epstein's. They're furious at him for not releasing the Epstein files, as he promised he would. Is it because, as Elon Musk has said, Donald Trump is in the Epstein files?
No, absolutely not. He's in the files. A lot of people in the files. This is if there was something in the files that was particularly damning about Donald Trump, the files would have been released by the Biden administration.
No, not if it was damning about Bill Clinton as well. Not if it was damning about.
Can I please just okay? If it was really damning about Donald Trump, they would have released at least that part. My guess is, and it's an educated guess, is that it's particularly damning of very important people on both sides of the political aisle, which is why Trump doesn't want to release it and why Biden didn't release it either. If it was just about Trump, it would have come out.
You were the chief of staff when Epstein apparently died by suicide in prison. You were. Yeah, we checked.
So. Yeah.
Trump at the time basically suggested that Bill Clinton might have killed him, as he does.
Baselessly?
Okay. You think Bill Clinton might have killed him? Okay. Just checking. I don't know how loyal
Is Bill Clinton on the list?
I mean, you were chief of staff at the time. You didn't come out and correct him, so maybe you do share that insane view.
Not my job.
That literally is your job as chief of staff.
No.
You just said earlier, the chief of staff controls information coming to Donald Trump. Who told him that Bill Clinton killed him?
It's not the job of the chief of staff to correct the president of the United States. And as between who knows the job of the chief of staff, you know a lot about a lot. You don't know a lot about.
But you just told me the definition was to protect Donald Trump. So you failed.
The job of the president of the United States is to make sure he gets good information.
And he failed because someone told him that Bill Clinton killed Jeffrey Epstein, and you didn't protect him from that.
Did they tell him?
Yeah, he retweeted a post saying that Bill Clinton could have killed him.
So again,
I mean, you're saying you didn't see any of the video stuff, you weren't involved. This doesn't rise to the level of chief of staff or the White House, and yet you're confidently saying that Elon Musk is wrong and his name's not in the files. How do you know?
No, I did. No, absolutely. In fact, I think if you go back and look at the tape, I said I imagine that Donald Trump is in the file someplace. There's photographs of them together. Okay. So if there's a file someplace, which I assume there is,
Trump says his name is not in anything. So he's lying.
I could imagine. Why there'd be photographs of him?
But he said it's not him.
I have to imagine his name is on the list someplace. He was a member at Mar-a-Lago. By the way, Trump kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago for being too weird. True story.
I mean, he also said he's a terrific guy who likes younger women. So.
Okay, here's President Trump dropping the bombshell the other day. talking about Epstein files being made up by Comey, Obama, and Biden.
Were made up by. No, she's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen, and I would say that these files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama, they were made up by the Biden information. We went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release. Yeah.
Whatever is credible, she should release. Here's Grok's analysis. Yes, Mick Mulvaney stated in a July 17, 2025 Al Jazeera interview clip that Trump is in the while citing photos and associations, and speculated Biden withheld them due to implications for both parties. However, no evidence supports Mulvaney claiming it would shake the political world. No damning proof against Trump exists in the known files. Here is Nick Bryant, who first published Epstein's Black Book. If the government wanted indictments, they could have them. And when Pam Bondi said there will be redactions because of national security, why? What does a bunch of people have to do with national security?
And that's going. I mean, if the government wanted indictments in the Epstein case, they could have them tomorrow. I mean, it's really that simple. The New York Times wrote a full page article on 6 of the Epstein pimps. One was Ghislaine Maxwell, one was Sarah Kellen, one was Leslie Groff, one was Adriana Ross, Nadia Marcinkova, and Haley Robson. Only one of them was indicted, and that's Ghislaine Maxwell. Kellen, Groff, Ross, and Marcinkova knew all about that network. And there's a New York Times article that shows that they do. I mean, you could take that New York Times article and give it to a grand jury, and of course, you could call them. They would take the fifth. You could indict them all on child trafficking. And as I said earlier, that's a heavy sentence, child trafficking. In the federal system, it's 15 to life. So if you give those women 5 or 6 lifetimes in prison, or if that's what they're looking at, they're going to roll over on the perps. I mean, that's how simple it would be. It wouldn't be complicated to start getting indictments on those. They're called procurers in the article, I believe, but they're really pimps.
Right.
So the government and actually the media has been very disingenuous when they give us this story that, well, they don't know who this person is or that person. Then the Department of Justice knows exactly who the pimps and perpetrators are. And that's what's really galling, is that this could be taken care of pretty quickly if there was a will in the Department of Justice, if the Department of Justice wasn't so corrupt.
And when you say you there needs to be a majority, what do you mean a majority? What kind of majority?
Well, there's 100 senators, so there has to be 51 senators.
You mean who want to look into this?
Yes.
Got it. Yeah.
And there's 455 members of the House, so we need half of those. And at that point, we'd be able to have a commission. I talked to the staff person of a senator last week who's been very vocal about this. And he told me that they're waiting for Bondi too. Bondi has promised people on the Hill that she's going to deliver this time. And so they're waiting to see what's happening with what she's going to do. But I think she further hurt her credibility when, first of all, she said on national TV there's going to be names and blah, 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 blah. And then she gave us enough. Actually, I more incriminating information on Jeffrey Epstein and his cadre of child molesters in 2015 than she released a month and a half ago. Actually, she had a copy of the Black Book and everything was redacted. When I put the Black Book up, I redacted the numbers of the people that were in there and I redacted the numbers and the last names of the victims. But everything was redacted. I kind of got out of that. But she further hurt her credibility. She said that there will be redactions because of national security. So what does a bunch of child molesters have to do with national security? That really, in my eyes, further hurt her credibility. I mean, if the government...
Wow. That guy, 2015, released the book. So this story is not going away anytime soon. I mean, who can ever forget this? So whose hoax is it then? Trump's or the Democrats? Stephen King, apparently defending Donald Trump. Trump in the Oval Office the other day, we don't need to go back and play this, but he said Trump's demanding the Epstein files be released are stupid and foolish. What is this? Alex Jones breaking down some stuff. Let's listen.
Filled it full of disinformation. It's another Russia hoax because Trump didn't know. Yeah, we're going to release. When Trump came out Sunday, 7 days in, and went, Comey, Brennan, and Clapper all had this file for decades. They filled it full of disinformation. It's another Russia hoax because Trump didn't know. Yeah, we're going to release it. They go raid it. Democrats wouldn't turn it over, but they probably themselves. They get it. And there's a bunch of unsubstantiated crap in there. Guaranteed it'll be the 5 Jane Does that all turned out to be fake, saying Trump raped them and stuff. Turned out those were all fake. Remember that? It's guaranteed FBI files on that. That's what it is. And I've been thinking that the last 4 or 5 days, and I made some calls, and people go, how do you know this? We're not going to confirm that to you, but how the hell do you know that? So that's it. And it's not hard to know that. What they tried before? What did they do before? And you got, Trump in St. Petersburg or Moscow being peed on. Not true, totally fake, admitted fake, created by Obama, Brennan, Clapper, Comey. The issue here, though, is the way Trump threw a fit and didn't articulate this properly gave our enemies an incredible tool, whereas the Democrats that never wanted any Epstein files released suddenly want them released because they were in control of the file and would, it's not even obviously, of course they expunged all the stuff about them and then put a bunch of Steele dossier style innuendo and crapola in there.
So that's the hoax part that President Trump is referring to, and Alex is clearly breaking it down.
5 different Jane Does that said Trump raped them when they're 14 here. Trump screwed them at Epstein's place there. And then it always came out that it wasn't even real people, and it was Democrat law firms.
Wow. This is crazy. This whole thing is crazy. Adam Schiff even. What the hell is going on? It's not going away. We'll keep tracking it. I know it makes you as sick as it makes me. But if you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. Does matter? Why are we reporting on it? It's because truth is the foundation of any movement. And right now, MAGA is being tested like never before. When Trump calls something a hoax, but provides no evidence, while Musk uses simple logic to expose government lies, we're watching a battle for the soul of America first. Now, the deep state couldn't defeat Trump with impeachments or indictments or assassinations, so now they're using the Epstein files to divide his base from within. If the government validated victims, if they have predator names, period, no amount of spin changes that fact. So it's not about conspiracy theories anymore. It's about whether we demand transparency or accept whatever narrative we're fed. So here's my question. Do you believe that an Epstein client list actually exists? Let's talk about it in the comments below. And while you're fired up, check out our merch shop. It's linked. Wear your truth proud. You can help us expose President Otto Penn. You can support Alligator Alcatraz or pick your favorite member of the administration in our American Badass series at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com, where you can trigger a liberal today.